Today is going to be a very unique style of video, as we're going to talk about a guy from the Division 3 level. He put up insane numbers this past season, as he ended up having over 2,000 yards and 35 touchdowns in just 1 year. But again, because he's at the D3 level, this makes his odds of going to the NFL nearly impossible, but he might just be the guy to do it. Today, I want to introduce you to Tyler Echeverry. He's a Division 3 player from Mount Union who's getting NFL scouts' attention and might find his way into the NFL, and if he gets there, he could definitely wreak some havoc. What's also cool is I actually worked alongside him for this video, so all of this information and his story comes straight from him and not from me researching a bunch of newspaper articles. Yeah, we're going to talk about this D3 guy, his incredible story to getting to this point, and his chances of going to the league. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you can support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's get started and talk about Tyler Echeverry.
What's up, everyone? This is Ty Echeverry. I appreciate you guys tuning in and getting to know a little bit about me and my journey, and a huge thanks to Scott for putting this all together. So if you're a real ball watcher and you have respect for the game of football, you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't subscribe so that you're constantly in the loop of everything college football.
So going back in time, his story is the typical heart-wrenching movie where a kid grows up poor and is grinding in silence at a small school, all while being overlooked, balancing school, jobs, and workouts, and somehow all doing it exceptionally. He said, quote, "I know my moment is coming. I'm living proof that heart, hustle, and hunger can take you places talent alone never will." Tyler says he didn't come from much, as he grew up in a poor single-mother household in South Florida. He was also considered a first-generation American and was raised with the understanding that nothing would ever be handed to him. That was fine. He never wanted a handout anyways. In high school, his passion for the game of football only grew, as he was determined to work as hard as possible to turn into the best player he could be. Even at his age, he had an unwavering self-belief, regardless of how overlooked and under-recruited he ended up becoming. One summer in high school, he said he vividly remembered feeling he had earned a spot on a team at the Deion Sanders 7-on-7 team tryout. One of the coaches told him he didn't make the team, and he was confused. Regardless, he still tried to sneak into the huddle and tried not to get noticed because he felt like he belonged and he could help the team. He got yelled at and kicked off the field in front of all the players, parents, coaches, and even Deion Sanders himself, and he walked off without an issue, knowing how much he believed in himself. He said he also knew he'd eventually reap the rewards of his hard work. That mentality would eventually follow him over to college, as he earned an opportunity to play football at the University of Mount Union. Coming into a storied D3 program like Mount Union, he knew he had to be a sponge and soak up all the information he could from all the legendary coaches and elite players on the team. Mount Union has had a vivid history, and Tyler was hoping to be one of the next big names to come out of there. He knew what it meant to carry the legacy of a program that was as respected and successful as Mount Union. He said he learned from them every day and how they approach studying film, how they practice, and how they carry themselves in the locker room and in life. They weren't just teammates, they were mentors. He applied everything he had learned to his life, even when nobody was watching and he wasn't on the field. He fell in love with every part of the process while he was there, and early on, he started out playing special teams and doing everything in his power to help the team win a national championship. He never complained or asked coaches why he wasn't playing at running back. He embraced his role and knew it was a part of his growth and was essential to the team's success. When Tyler's moment eventually came, it wasn't any different than just working hard and doing extra like he was used to doing. During the first game of his sophomore year, he played in their JV game. The last game of that year, he would start in the Division 3 National Championship, which was broadcasted on ESPN. At this point, and following the season, he started to get crucial in-game reps and showed that he could seriously play football at a high level and work even harder during the off-seasons and in his preparation for games. He began to blossom into the player that he knew he was capable of becoming. Like I said at the beginning of the video, being overlooked was the story of Tyler Echeverry's life. Going into his senior year, he wasn't in any of the preseason All-American conversations. He was a sleeper and just another name on a roster that most people outside the program did not know. But Tyler knew what he was capable of, and he showed out to the world in 2024. He became the best running back in Division 3 football in dominant fashion, as during his senior year, he finished with over 2,000 yards and 35 touchdowns. Again, this was in one season. He etched his name into the school record books countless times at Mount Union, and his favorite part, he said, was the way he handled his business. He did it all while being a straight-A student on the dean's list and working 3 jobs during the season to pay for school. Again, Remember, Mount Union has no scholarships and no NIL. I think that says a lot about who Tyler is as a person, and he really did things all right here. Honestly, he really earned this. He ended up making the national championship game this year with them, and his teammates voted him as team captain. They helped set the foundation for that team, and they pushed for a deep playoff run. In the spring, apparently they had a ton of issues on and off the field, from setting the standard to missing team events, to even having issues between players and coaches. Eventually, the identity of the team would flip, and that was partially because of Tyler. As the season would end, he began to get more attention from NFL scouts, and playing professionally was always his dream, and the opportunity was now at his doorstep. Just another thing he would have to earn though, and he was happy to earn it. The Mount Union community would rally behind Tyler as they raised money for him to get the best pro day training as possible, and that he could do it while he was back home in South Florida. Due to his great standing with his professors, they allowed him to complete his assignments online, and while he was at home doing his NFL prep training. He would end up scratching and clawing to get into as many pro days as possible, and ended up going to Kent State and Toledo's pro days. He tested very well there, and now scouts knew that he had the speed, strength, and agility to play in the National Football League. He really separated himself during those position drills and routes, where he received lots of positive feedback from numerous NFL franchises. He says, quote, "Now as I reflect on everything football has given me, I realize it's been my greatest teacher. It taught me that there is a direct correlation between how bad I want something and my ability to obtain it. And I'm not done, not even close." As of right now, it is sort of hard to project how or when Ty will get his chance in the NFL, but honestly, I think it's coming. I remember about a decade ago, we saw Pierre Garçon come from Mount Union, and he ended up being really good with the Colts and had a decently long NFL career. He banked on himself, and a lot of times these D3 prospects come out of nowhere and eventually find themselves on a roster or at minimum a practice squad. I feel like every year there's some sort of random guy from D3 who's playing week 8 due to some sort of injury on the team, and this feels like the exact kind of opportunity Ty will be waiting for. Again, I don't know if he'll be drafted or not, but I know he'll probably get an opportunity in the league, and he will have to fight and claw for his spot just like he has his whole life. To finish out the video, I want to give one more quote from Ty, as he said, quote, "Whatever team takes a chance on me is getting a relentless competitor with a fire in his chest and a chip on his shoulder. Not because I need to prove people wrong, but because I've always believed in myself. My mission isn't about proving doubters wrong. It's about proving myself right and showing up every day with the same hunger, work ethic, and passion that got me here. I belong, I will make waves when I arrive." So yeah, today's video is kind of cool. We got to invite a draft prospect onto the channel, I got to share a story most people don't know about, and also highlight a player who could eventually maybe come out of nowhere and blow up in the league. Again, I have no idea how any of this stuff works, as I'm not a scout, but I will be rooting for Tyler Echeverry moving forwards, and I appreciate him coming on the channel today. But what do you guys think? What do you think of Ty's story? Who's another underrated prospect I can take a look at in my next video? And what other topics should I cover on the channel? Be sure to let me know down below. Leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all of the videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.